My name is Josh, and this is the Built for Wealth podcast, a millennial's no BS guide to financial freedom. In this podcast, we are interviewing investors from all different spaces and backgrounds and gaining insights on just how they built their wealth through real estate that hopefully leaves you inspired to build yours. You can follow along at builtforwealthpodcast.com. And without further ado, we'll jump right into the show. All right, we got Brad Holcman on the podcast today. You've got such an interesting story. I mean, we were talking before for like 30 minutes.
Sorry.
and that's usually a good indicator that I know that like the conversation is going to be really good. So I'm stoked about this. But I first got connected to you. You produced a show for a guy that I know through CG and about flipping. So just give us a background. Like
this is Tommy, right?
Yeah.
Do you know I was with Tommy a week and a half ago?
Really?
Because he spoke here.
I know I tried to get him on the podcast, but I didn't know that he was in town. It was like
he was in town for 4 hours.
Yeah.
He's like 5 hours. Because Tommy, I always look, I can't ever turn off my entertainment face. So I always am looking at you. One, I want to connect with you, but also, are you a good television show? And you don't know this because I haven't said this to you.
Everybody's just talent for you.
Yes, everybody's just talent. I just want, pretty good looking, amazing people in my life. That's really, that I can put on television. There's a story behind that too, with Channing Tatum, if we want to talk about that later. Boy. Yeah. But I was at the event and somebody mentioned your name.
Really?
Yes. And I had not gotten into your background, and we are going to talk because I want to know more. But I went up to Tommy and I'm like, he's in CG. Do you know this guy? And he's like, yeah, of course I do. You know, and then it all came together, and I'm like, now Tommy, knowing that he's got we can announce the television show was announced 2 days ago.
Nice.
But I'm like, is he a good television show? And he's like, well, I don't really know what he's doing now because I think he's doing a lot of new development now. But he goes, you got to talk to him. But yeah, Tommy, it's weird how it all kind of worked out.
Yeah, cool. Well, give us a background. Like, how did you get here producing TV shows? And you're flipping houses too. Yeah. Like, give us the story.
Yeah. So, like every good man, I followed a girl. That's how I got into entertainment. I was at the University of Michigan. I had a girlfriend at Michigan who was the hottest girl that I thought I ever could get. Blonde hair, blue-eyed. She moves to LA. Literally, it's a script. And she was a year older than me, and she was going into entertainment. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to go to LA. I don't know anything about LA. I don't know anything about Hollywood. I followed her. We had a pretty good relationship for 4 years, but and I was a management consultant at PricewaterhouseCoopers, and she was in Hollywood. She had a much cooler life than I did. So I would just be interested. I was never really interested in entertainment outside of I just love to be the most fun person in the room. I've never met a mic that I don't love. I love talking to people and connecting with people. I love telling story, but not connected to anything Hollywood. So needless to say, we broke up. And to spite her, because our relationship went a little sour at the end, I decided I'm going to go into Hollywood because she didn't want me in Hollywood. She liked the fact that I wasn't a Hollywood person.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to go. And I happened to meet somebody who offered me an internship at a production company on the Paramount set. Knew nothing about anything. They're like, you're just basically going to get coffee and you're going to do what you're told. And I'm like, okay. I left my job to do this and thought, how cool is this? I get to be in a golf cart on Paramount, and it turned into something that I'm like, this is a really cool job, and I think I'm really good at it.
Yeah.
So from there, I had an internship at Paramount. 2 months later, I found myself at Fox, assisting somebody in the television department. And this was at the studio that produced The Simpsons and 24 and Family Guy, and How I Met Your Mother, and countless shows.
Yeah.
And a few months into it, they decided to open up a new studio on the lot, which would be everything that $1 billion studio couldn't do. So then I ended up with a 4-person studio backed by Fox, and we made Sons of Anarchy. We made Homeland. We made Brickleberry, which was an animated show that ended up on Netflix, and just these massive shows. The but is we also did reality shows. And I got handed a show called Beauty and the Geek back in the day. Beauty and the Geek was produced by Ashton Kutcher, and it was beauties and geeks competed together. Nobody wanted to make the show because everybody wanted to do drama scripted, comedy scripted. And they're like, and I was the youngest guy in the team. He's like, Brad, do this. So I ended up being the executive on the show, helped develop and produce it. And it was the most fun. I'm in a house with beauties and geeks with Ashton Kutcher coming up with challenges till 4 a.m. Stop. It was the crazy.
It sounds like a dream.
It was weird. I loved every second of it. Not because, I mean, Ashton is I wish I knew the brilliance of Ashton outside of, because he was an early investor in all these. I wish I understood that side of Ashton Kutcher. I didn't. I understood entertainment Ashton, and I loved it. He was a genius, and he still is. But it was because I was doing scripted and unscripted. Unscripted was something I could go to 4 a.m. and it wasn't work for me, but I didn't love reading scripts. I didn't love the scripted side. So my wife many years ago goes, why aren't you doing reality full time? And they're like, well, it's because what's cool is the drama and the scripted and the Sons of Anarchy and the Homeland. Yeah. It's like, yeah, but you love, and this was early days of reality, but you love this. And that never stopped. And I decided to go all in on reality, which allowed me to run a department at a very early age. And at that time, everybody who had a deal in the Fox ecosystem who wanted to do reality would have to go through me. So all of these so all of a sudden, Ashton is pitching reality shows to me.
Wow.
Some of the biggest names, some people have been not so nice with Hollywood, but Ryan Murphy, who is a massive producer in Hollywood, would pitch reality shows to me, and I then reported directly to Dana Walden, and Dana Walden is now number 2 at Disney. I had this incredible group of people that I learned from every day. Eventually, A&E, the television network, I had sold a couple projects to them, and they're like, "Hey, we want you." I said, "Okay, what does that mean?" And they're like, "Well, you got to move to New York," and I'm living in Hollywood. I'm like, "I'm not moving to New York. I don't know anything about New York." And my wife was like, "You should know a little bit about New York. It's a pretty cool spot."
Yeah.
And then it's cold. There's no palm trees there. I love my life in Hollywood. I think it's really cool. And then they showed me the contract, and I'm like, "Oh, you really want me?"
I love New York.
Yeah, I love everything about New York. 12 years into the job, then 12 years I was still at A&E. It was the best move that I had ever made for both myself and my family and my career. And everything changed. And we were speaking about this earlier, is during the pandemic, our company was looking for places that we could help with revenue. What are some areas that we weren't maximizing? And there was this whole home shows on A&E, and it really was where executives went to die. It was a place where nobody really took care of. It was really just a financial line item. But the CEO, who's incredibly intelligent and forward-thinking, was like, "Hey, let's put a real creative, a real storyteller on this block that has an eager to create businesses," which I've been very vocal at the company. I'm like, I want more of the business side of entertainment, which as a creative you didn't do. So I got handed all of these shows, this whole block, 150 plus hours a year of programming, a nice, a $80-90 million budget.
Wow.
And they're like, "Do whatever you want with it."
Wow.
I'm like, okay. And that's when I knew Andrew Carnegie said 90% of the world's millionaires are real estate investors. I now all of a sudden oversee, it's basically HGTV and A&E that are really the only places that are producing real estate shows. Yeah. And I went all in on that.
Wow.
So that's kind of my television career. There's a whole lot in the middle. I created 60 Days In, got Emmy nominations from Intervention, oversaw over a couple hundred episodes, Duck Dynasty, have over 100 episodes of that. I have a really pretty awesome career, but it was really real estate that changed everything for me.
Yeah. What were some of the shows that you worked on in A&E? I mean, if you can share stuff.
Everything.
Okay.
There's not a thing. I was a part of probably about 60 or 70 different shows.
Wow.
Mostly I started from day one. A lot of them I co-created. That was just my superpower, was I just kind of knew what people wanted to watch. And if they didn't, then I moved on to the next one. My biggest one, I helped create 60 Days In. So 60 Days In is where 7 regular people went undercover to live in a jail for 60 days to help improve the jail. And it was based off of an experience that I had on a previous show. It was called Behind Bars Rookie Year, which I helped create. And it profiled rookie first-year corrections officers at a prison. So they're 18 that are walking into these corrections these prisons, and they're lifers, they're murderers. And I thought it was the most fascinating idea for a television show.
Wow.
So I went, we were filming in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and it was the first time that I voluntarily or involuntarily went behind bars. And I'm there, and I had to like strip down, I could bring nothing in. And I had never seen anything like this before. And it was 3 days of scouting and looking at this jail or this prison. And I came home, and my wife's like, "How was it?" And I'm like, I couldn't speak. And she's like, "You're a little bit whiter after than you were before." And I'm like, "Yeah, because I've never seen anything like this."
Wow.
The inside of a prison like this. And she's like, "Please tell me, I don't want you ever to do that again." And she said that. I'm like, that's a show. What if people like me who don't belong, at least aren't there for a reason because they committed a crime, but are there in a different manner? And then we met a sheriff who wanted to help improve their jail. He wanted to do it from the inside, couldn't get any of his corrections officers or police to do that. So that idea of a sheriff wanting to improve from the inside, my idea of how can I get somebody like me who hasn't committed a crime to experience life behind bars? And that's how 60 Days In was formed.
So cool.
Yeah, there's 9 seasons, over 100 episodes. Just a 9-figure revenue generator.
Wow.
Duck Dynasty was a show that I was very grateful to work on. I didn't work on from the beginning, but 100 plus episodes. The Robertson family are truly one of the most amazing. They're better in person than they're even on that show.
Really? Yeah.
Intervention, incredibly proud of that show. That show showed drug addiction from a point of view that you've never seen before. Really intimate into the addict's life, and the whole idea of that is they become sober at the end of the episode. Still to this day, it's about over 75% of those that were on the show are sober today.
Wow.
Which it's about
So cool.
3 to 5% is what the normal average is. And there's a whole reason behind that, but very grateful for that. Received 4 Emmy nominations. So going to the Emmys as a nominee is just weird. It's like this, I'm from Michigan. I'm this Midwest boy that I watched game shows growing up. And all of a sudden, I'm on the red carpet, potentially winning an Emmy.
Yeah.
It was
because you started it out of spite.
Literally out of spite with a Michigan girl.
That's so cool.
Who I really truly appreciate her, and the only reason I'm where I am is because of her. I mean, it really is not. But there's been a whole lot of other shows, but right now I'm doing a lot of the. I still am making television as an independent. But the first home show that I produced was with Pace Morby and Jamil Damji, which was Triple Digit Flip. Unknowingly, that Pace and Jamil are some of the 2 biggest faces of real estate.
Yeah, for sure.
And Zombie House flipping the series. I've got a couple of shows on the air right now. James Daynard out of Seattle, $1 million Zombie Flips. That's the show I helped create. I've done it all, and it's been the most fun journey. I have stories and anecdotes for days, which when you're inside the entertainment bubble, you don't realize it until you start speaking to somebody that's not. And I've had a 24 hours with Channing Tatum after a shoot that for me was a Saturday.
Wow.
But when I tell the story, it's like, wait, what? You literally have everybody's dream. And I was like, but that was my job. And that was enough people were telling me that's your job, but other people want to hear about it and learn from you.
Yeah.
That's what really ultimately caused me to jump.
What was it about the people that you worked with, the shows that you produced, that made them stand out? Like, is there a certain character trait?
Yeah.
Was it you're just looking at from the entertainment lens of like you mentioned with the 60 Days Behind Bars or whatever that show was? That's a show right there. Was it just like a moment or something that inspired you, or what was it?
There's a lot of things, and it's a lot of what relates to every other industry. What I don't think people think about. One, it's not about you; it's about them. Mm-hmm. Whether I liked a show or not was not a question I would ever ask. Will somebody who worked a hard day from 9 to 5 and they have so many options at night, would they at all entertain the show that I'm making? And for me, the best shows brought that audience into our shows. So they were relatable, they were aspirational, they were attainable. I don't do Housewives. That's a certain type of entertainment. That's purely entertainment and aspirational. But I want somebody to jump on the other side of the camera and be like, I could be on that show, or I know that person on that television show. So that attracted me. But also, I never wanted to create new genres, new ways of watching television. That's really hard to do. But if you just do something just slightly different than what everybody else is doing in something that's something already you enjoy, that's how you get massive followings. Yeah. So 60 Days In, perfect example, it's a jail show. There's a million jail shows out there. So I don't have to, one, teach somebody how to watch a show in jail, and two, I don't have to educate them about the genre. There's been billions of dollars of shows before me that have already done that job. But if I give them a different path in an area that they already love, that's what, and this is my motto, that's not being the best. I can't tell you if it's the best, but that's being the only. And when you're the only, all of a sudden you're the show that sticks out than everyone else. I talk a lot about Tesla, and whether you think about Elon or not, that's not what I'm talking about. Is Elon did not create a new genre.
Right.
It's four wheels. It's got a wheel. It drives from A to Z. The experience is different than anything else. Mm-hmm. Not just electric, but the ride, the way that they sold the car, everything about it was different. But I didn't have to understand that this is still a car. It's still four wheels. So for me, that's always been my entertainment lenses, is how can I just be just different than everybody else? Yeah. Most people live in the mediocrity, and we don't really mean it, but we are brought up in our world to be one of the same. Yeah. Most of us are followers, and that's completely fine. Most of us are employees. Most of us are students. And that one student that was a little left of center, that's probably the student that went a little bit higher or faster than anybody else. Maybe not when you are in 8th grade, but down the road. So I always want to be that. I want to still live within the rules, but I want to break one of them. And I want to understand, but I don't want to break them all. And I'm doing it with intention and purpose versus just being grabbing attention for attention's sake.
Yeah. So everything, I know you're like talking about everything you just talked about through the lens of Hollywood, but all I was thinking about is how applicable it is to business owners, entrepreneurs, like everything that you just said. I almost would encourage people to just rewind that and just be thinking through how can you stand out as a business owner? Because today the marketing landscape is different. Social media kind of drives a lot of people's businesses. And I know that you started coaching people, consulting with people on this very thing. Yeah. How does somebody apply all of those principles where even from the beginning, you beautifully laid out, thinking of the customer journey, the person who they work a 9 to 5, they come home, why would they watch your show? And you can translate that to why would they choose your product? Why would they purchase from your business? Why would they choose your service? Whatever it is. Walk us through that journey of how you've applied all of these Hollywood principles to business.
Yeah. There hasn't been one thing that I haven't transferred. And I didn't know any of this. Mm-hmm. I had no clue how all of this was going to transfer over to everyone else. And it took very special people in my life that saw me differently than I saw myself, that said, just what you said. I didn't believe it, because in Hollywood, it's the Hollywood bubble. You don't talk to anybody else. Yeah. In fact, Hollywood's a very, very selfish industry, which when I started meeting real estate investors, I'm like, oh, people actually cared about people and rooted for people and would open up their business to somebody that's a direct competitor because they believed 1 + 1 = 11. So that's really what I got so excited about the real estate industry was the sense of community and the sense of people working together. So that's when my mind shift which was always there, but never really utilized because entertainment does not reward that I'm like, okay, one, let me use that as the base. So from everything, I think the biggest thing that I would tell people is we are so afraid of our lived experiences and our stories and telling it because we're afraid that maybe it's not something that I should be talking about, or maybe it's, what is Sally in 8th grade going to say about that? How is somebody hearing me? What about, I don't have a face for camera.
Yeah.
But it really comes down to people don't know their own story. So you've got to start with why are people going to buy from you? So same thing that I had. Once you have that clarity of what makes you different, what makes you the only, then all of a sudden, almost everything comes into place. I literally just, I have a client who never posted, never was on social media, and all of a sudden found his calling. And we used that as the base for his branding and his marketing and his voice and his message. And it turned out all his past led to this. He didn't even realize, he didn't connect the dots.
Oh, wow.
So when he woke up in the morning and he knew that posting or putting himself out there every day, there was intention behind it, it just happened. So part of that is just being clear on who you're serving. In terms of putting yourself out there too, it is very different. So I work in, I totaled it up, probably about a couple $2 billion worth of entertainment I've created. I don't think the average person on the street has that. The only thing that matters is not production. It's the words coming out of your mouth. And what that requires is practice over and over again. So the first thing that I tell people to do is if you don't know what makes you different, you need to talk to people. Being different is what is going to elevate you. There's a lot of people that do a lot of things, and a lot of it's the same. So let's just take real estate, for example. A lot of people wholesale. A lot of wholesalers out there. There's a lot of people selling their house. So why you over everyone else?
Yeah.
What's something that you do? Many times you don't know it, right? So I had a client, or have a client, in fact, local in the Charlotte area.
Yeah.
He's a wholesaler, and all he wanted to do was go from about 3 a month to 10 a month, which is a significant jump. But he's like, if I have to do 10 in a month, my life completely changes. So ask the question, so what about you is different? Why, when you either talk to a seller, why are you different than anybody else? Because undoubtedly they're in a distressed situation. 100 people are knocking on their door. Couldn't figure it out. And then he just randomly told me the story. He's like, okay, I got to tell you this really funny story. I was running late to an appointment, and it was around lunchtime, and I was really hungry. So I decided to call the seller up and be like, I am so sorry I'm running late. I need to eat lunch. Is it okay if I bring you lunch and we can just kind of eat lunch together? Again, selfishly, because they were hungry.
Yeah.
All right. Comes over and was like, oh, what would you like? And it happens that he was near it. Brings lunch in, costs $25 or so.
Yeah.
They sat down and she goes, I'll sign the contract. And he's like, oh, okay. Because he knew that he was going to be 1 out of 100 people.
Yeah.
And she goes, it's because she didn't know the story behind it. Because I gave a little bit different because it was what he was thinking rather than what he was saying. He's like, you thought enough around lunchtime to ask me what I wanted for lunch. It literally took a $25 meal to get a $10,000. He made $10,000 on that.
Yeah.
So he told me the story passively. And I'm like, how many wholesalers have brought a seller lunch? And he's like, well, I've never done it before. And I said, so a $25 lunch turned into 10 grand. So let's say that's your brand. Let's say you have 100 appointments and you bring a $25 lunch over 100 times. That's $2,500. Let's say one person out of 100 gives you a contract. You just made $7,500, but also 99 other people are pretty happy.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you've got a brand. So that's how you think about is that what's that one thing, what's that only? Because in a world of television, you have to watch it Wednesday at 10 o'clock. That was my business. It wasn't the Netflix era or the on demand. Mine was you had to watch it Wednesday at 10 o'clock. So what about that show got you to turn on the channel? The other part of it is what you do has to be so simple that 5 people, you tell one person, they get excited, and they tell 5 other people. So my marketer is not me. I'm not the product.
Yeah.
It's Bob who told 5 of their friends. So what about and I help people with their only statement. What makes them the only? How is it so simple that it causes somebody to, one, easily understand what you do and how different it is, but then be compelled to tell 5 other people because that's your marketing person. All of that requires $0. Yeah. I'm not taking, this is all organic. So through television, that's what we had to do is how can your show be so simple in one sentence, but yet so distinct and different than everyone else so that Sally is telling 5 other people to watch my show. It's the old school referral and affiliate, but done differently. So there's a whole, I mean, I could talk for days on this, but there's almost every principle in entertainment is applies to every other business out there.
What are some exercises that you put people through? You mentioned 2 of them. Yeah. To help identify what those things are that makes them stand out.
Yeah, I think the biggest person is ask people. So there's people that are above you, meaning it could be your boss, it could be a business owner, it could be somebody, a mentor, maybe on another side of the transaction. People that are doing things similar to you. So if you're a wholesaler, just a friend wholesaler, and then somebody that maybe knows you but doesn't really know your business, but just knows you as a human. Ask them all one simple question. What do I do? What do I do? So you're getting that data. So because most people don't understand how what they do translates to other people. I guarantee you, most of the time, 99% of the time, they probably don't really know what you do. So one, it's recognizing it's a problem. So you have to recognize that there's a problem. So then how do you go from there? Well, there's very simple questions that you can answer that helps kind of formulating it. And then I'm going to say this. I have a tool. It's called findyouronly.app. It's 7 questions. And the 7 questions will take you through all different parts of who you are and what you are, what your business, who do you serve, what's the genre of business, what's your motivation, what's a story that you've told a million times over. And then it will help you create your only statement. And that's when people understand, oh, that's what makes me distinct and different. That's the one sentence that if I'm out networking or if I'm at a meetup that other fellow real estate investors are, or other friends or other people that are like, they don't know anything about what I do. Right. I become all of a sudden something distinct and different. Yeah. So there's that exercise. And a lot of it is based on a framework that I created called the Only framework. Only is is a lot of my thing. And only is always own your difference. That's the biggest thing we need to know is what makes them different. And we tend to own our difference, and it's like 7 things. N is, well, now you got to narrow the focus. We all want to do so many different things. And when you do so many things, then you become nothing. You need to be good at one thing only. You go deep, not wide. So that's N, narrow focus. And then L is now what story can help represent your only. So what's that anecdote? What's that story that kind of helps blossom? And when you do the O and the N and the L, then you're the category. So I talk a lot about climbing mountains. One person climbed the mountain first, right? So one person, they probably then named the mountain. So you can do that. You can follow that. You can put the reps in, which I encourage you to do. But then you find a mountain that nobody else has climbed before. It's still a mountain. You still use the skills. You're not starting from beginner phase. You climb that mountain. Once you're the first person you put the flag on, now you own that mountain. So when you go through that exercise, you can name your own mountain. But again, you're not creating something new. Yeah. So I want to take the pressure off of people that you do not have to be that crazy different. In fact, one of the lines I have is, don't be the best, be the only. We all strive to be the best, but then we're competing against price. We're throwing things more at people. We're convincing other people why we are the one that should be chosen. Yeah. But when you're the only, that's when people come to you. That's when people seek you out. You just have to understand. And if you go through a little bit of that exercise, and it takes much, the guy who brings lunches, like that's all it is. And his whole, all his mailers change to that. And he's getting more appointments than he's ever had because guess what? A seller, they're getting a free lunch.
Yeah.
For him, it's $25.
Yeah.
In a $10,000 transaction world, it's a win-win situation.
Yeah. It's a lot of fast food.
I think he goes fast casual.
Okay.
So maybe the Chipotles versus I don't think bringing McDonald's to a seller appointment is the best.
No, I mean, I would be so overweight if that was my brand.
Exactly.
So I think the fruit of everything that you're talking about is it gives people clarity. What do you think having that clarity can do for your business?
You become visible. The way that social media, and I don't, this is stealing from Gary Vaynerchuk. We don't talk about social media anymore. It's not social. Facebook and Instagram is. Again, Sally from 8th grade still on your Facebook page. Your mom's still there. Your sister's still there. They're not on TikTok. They're not on YouTube, and they're not on LinkedIn. So when I talk about the platforms, I separate Facebook and Instagram for the other three. Real estate, you use them all.
Yeah.
Most businesses use them all.
Right.
But when you become clear on your mission, then you have the ability, and the way that all of these platforms reward is clarity of one thing, and one thing over and over and over again. Because what the algorithms do now is deliver what's interesting to you. So if I say apples every day and you're interested in apples, you're going to get my content. So being clear, all of a sudden you're getting delivered apples.
Yeah.
But if I'm like apples and toys and the color yellow and here's a banana, like all these different things, the whole thing is like, I don't know what to deliver. I don't know if I'm going to deliver apples to you because you said the color yellow and all these types of things. So being clear is everything. Once you're clear, then the visibility happens.
Yeah.
When people go like, I'm so good at what I do, but I'm the best kept secret. Well, what's your message? It undoubtedly comes down to the clarity of message.
Yeah.
And if you have one thing that's so simple, again, that Sally will tell 5 other people, that's what happens. So being clear, and then backing it up with anecdotes, stories. That's the one thing that's my whole entire career is, if you understand who you're selling to, the pain points of the audience, how you can serve them, and being clear on that, then you create the story. That's the lead with your story. Because the way I did this whole exercise for a client, he didn't like telling stories. He didn't understand why I wanted to tell stories. All he was frameworks and methodologies. And I just want step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. Yeah. I'm like, well, that's how I work too. But I also know there's a science behind the story. And there is. When you tell a story with something in your brain connects with the other person. I don't know anything really about the particulars of science, but all of a sudden, when you tell a really good story that you know the other person's pain point and you're connecting that story with their pain point, the way that you connect is on a scientific level. If you have that connection, that's when you can create that relationship that will take you to the next level.
Yeah. I mean, I see it even with my kids. If I just say, guys, I want to tell you a story, all of them just immediately pay attention. You know, I think our ears perk up when we start telling stories, because that's, for thousands of years, that's how information and stuff has been passed down through families and all that stuff. So,
but we forget, because we live in kind of a, I just tell me how to do it.
Yeah.
You know, we really live in a tactical world. It's much harder to think about story in a way that converts. But I will tell you, if somebody that I love tells a great story, I can hear that story 100 times over.
Yeah.
But if they are like step 1, step 2, step 3, I've probably forgotten that in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So I also believe that longevity, you have to think about the long term. So when you think about story, there's a long-term effect into you becoming memorable in what you do.
Yeah.
A really great story will just stay with you. So everybody has that. We all have a fingerprint that's unique. Everybody's got a unique story. You just may not know it because somebody hasn't pulled that out of you, or be like, you know that nobody else has that story. I mean, I get told that all the time. Even for me, that's told story for my entire career. I don't even realize. So you need to talk to somebody, tell their stories, and have somebody on the other side go, you know, that's a good story that connects with who you are.
Do you think people just struggle putting language to what their story is and like connecting those dots?
Yeah, that, and I just don't think that people connect story with business.
Yeah.
Storytelling is casual over a beer with somebody. It's not meant for business. But when you see a great speaker on a stage, when you see a great podcast or hear a podcast episode, a YouTube video, it's all story. That's why you love it.
Yeah.
But we don't understand story in business and how it works together.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any just like misnomers in business that maybe you hear when you're consulting with them, specifically about brand and marketing, that you just cringe when you hear it? Like maybe like the traditional, like this is the way that we've done it in the past, where you're like, just throw that out. What are those common things that you just say, throw that out?
So I don't know the past because I really wasn't ever in branding and marketing. I was in storytelling.
Yeah.
We had people that did it. I will tell you, if you think there is a framework or step-by-step, there just isn't. I don't abide by storytelling techniques. Here's a really uncomfortable truth that I had. I was speaking at a real estate conference not too long ago. And the head of the conference went on stage and was like, oh my God, I'm embarrassed to go up on stage before Brad speaks because I'm going to walk through a storytelling framework that I know y'all have heard. And I'm sure Brad has lived, for his entire career. And he just told it. I swear to God, I'd never heard the framework before.
Wow.
And it was, oh my God, I'm forgetting the name of it. It's the classic framework, the 13-part journey, the journey framework.
The hero journey?
The hero's journey.
Yeah.
I can't even forget. He's like, yeah, it's the hero's journey.
Yep.
He's like, and he went through it all. And I'm sitting here going, yeah. And I went up to him afterwards and I'm like, I actually have never heard the hero's journey framework.
Yeah.
And I have worked for 25 years in Hollywood. And I'm okay with admitting because he was a friend. And he's like, really? He's like, yeah, but when you look at, he walked through Lord of the Rings and all that. And I'm like, well, yeah, part of my brand though has never been to follow what others have done, but to tell the story for the same reasons, to connect with an audience, all their pain points, all the things. But I never want to hear an unexpected story. I want it to be, I want an unexpected journey. So for me, a lot of people that don't tell story or go into storytelling or go into marketing, you have to follow this framework.
Yeah.
This plus this plus this. And I said, nope, that's not it. It's, again, what are the pain points? How can I connect with it differently? If I'm connecting with everyone else and all of a sudden I became the same, guess what also? We all have the same tools of AI. It's becoming worse now because I can put in, here's my story, here's the hero's journey, deliver it. But the beauty of AI is if you have really great ingredients, don't give it the framework. Have it understand who you are, what you are based on your lived experience, so then you can create a new framework, a new way of storytelling. So for me, that's part of it. But anything else is, I think the biggest thing that I will tell people is when you see the same commercial over and over again, it's really good for a while. But then it starts becoming just something you've seen before and it loses the effect. The beauty of 2026 and the way that we can tell stories now is you don't have to do that. I can produce 60 pieces of content for very little money, if no money. So for me, I talk about always keep delivering. Now you can use a content that converts and just do a little bit something different with.
Yeah.
But the rule for me of marketing is just put as much out there. There's no rule of you have to post at 7 a.m.
Right.
or this particular platform or this. For me, it's good content converts. The more that you put out there, the more opportunity that somebody's going to watch. It's like the mailers you get in the mail, and it's the landscaping one. You're like, I don't need a landscaper. I don't need a landscaper. 18 months later, all of a sudden you fire your landscaper. That's what you want to be with content and marketing and media. You always want to be there. The only person that cares is you. It really. And if somebody else says, "Oh my God, you are delivering too much. Your content's not good." One, and two, that just wasn't the right customer. It's never about it. You never should ever be afraid. The hardest thing that people need to figure out is just hit that post.
Yeah. People often associate success or it's working with like followers, and that's like it's very easily becomes one of those vanity metrics that people look at.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who's like, "Oh, I've got only 500 followers"?
Yeah. Never look at follower count. So one, it is a vanity. Unless you're being an influencer, actually follower count doesn't matter, it's engagement. So people that care deeply about you, I'd rather have 100 raging fans that care deeply about me than 100,000 that never interact with me. Those 100 people, literally one person can change your life. A friend of mine, his name is Bernard Ablola, he's a marketer. His whole brand is you're one post away. In the world of interest media now, there's never been a time. I am a massive fan of TikTok, and not as much as I love dancing. That's not why I'm a fan of TikTok. I'm a fan of TikTok because it's really the only platform you could have no following, but your message could go viral. And when I say viral, I don't mean it like 2 million people. It means it's getting into the right hands of the right people because of the way that algorithm works. That has literally, you will still, so I do a lot of, one of the big things, and we haven't talked about this, is I love live media. I love live media in my traditional career. And the honest answer is because it's a whole lot less work. You do a lot of prep. Yes, production is live. You do nothing in post, right? Wow, so I love producing live television and live media. Same thing with social media is there's a lot of work that requires to make a post. You think about it, there's a beginning, there's a middle and end, there's graphics, there's titles, there's all of these things that you have to do for one 30-second, 90-second, 2-minute podcast, whatever it is, and you hit post, then it's done. But if you go live, and you go live every day for a half hour, 60 minutes, there's a whole, I teach a framework on how to do this. That's still content, that's still everything that you're talking about, but live right now in media converts, especially if you do not have followers. So this is the biggest thing. So if you have no following whatsoever, go on live on TikTok every day for 5-10 minutes. And if you say the same, you have to be clear on your message. And by the way, going live can help you become clear because you will see people respond to you. It's so comedians. I'm not sure if you know or people know. Comedians basically do a 1-hour set when they go on their stadium tours. My job in Hollywood many years ago was to go to the comedy clubs in LA and find new comedians, new comedy talent to then put in sitcoms and comedy shows.
Job.
It was fun, but there's nothing worse than seeing bad comedy. You feel so bad for them. So I wouldn't go at 8 p.m. on a Saturday night. I'm going Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Okay, so I'm going but who would pop in at Tuesday at 4 p.m.? Jerry Seinfeld. All the big names, because they use that audience for practice. So what they would do is they have about 20 3x5 cards, index cards, and they would write one joke on each card. And over a week, they would write down, I think this funny but they don't know if it's funny until it's really in front of an audience.
So
they would go up there, literally, it's not a performance. All the comedy clubs, of course they let people in, but it's not marketed, it's not advertised. Literally Jerry would say, or Jerry's people would say, hey, can Jerry come down and get 20 minutes on the stage at 4:20? Of course, everybody's saying yes. So we'd get up there. For one, the audience was like, what's going on? I paid $20, and a couple drinks, and now I'm seeing Seinfeld, but I'm not seeing Seinfeld. I'm seeing Jerry work. So it gets up there, joke, awful, joke, awful, joke, one hits. All right, I got 30 seconds. They built that over 6, 9, 12 months for then the hour that you saw on HBO. So that's exactly what you as your brand and your message absolutely can do for free on TikTok. I tell people that you literally have a tool where you just hit live. All you have to have is a phone. You don't have to have a microphone. And you just talk about one thing, your message, who you are, what you are. The first day, it won't convert. Second day, won't convert. Third. But now you're teaching the algorithm. You're being clear. Then you record, TikTok organically already records all of this. You transcribe everything. You throw it into AI who knows you better than you know yourself. And then all of a sudden you're starting to extract your message, who you are, what you are. And then you even ask it, okay, what's one more thing that I can talk about? Then you have all of a sudden 2 things to talk about the next day. And then you keep going and going. And after a week of doing it 5, 10, 15 minutes, and it gets really addicting fast. One, you get over the fact of being on camera. You're going live. There's zero preparation happening. You're starting to build your brand, your messaging, being clear on everything. You're seeing the response, the comedy response that I'm just following what comedians have done for 20, 25 years. And that's where, again, all without any follower count. It's not about that. Now you start building it. And then you take that content and then you start posting it on every platform. You are that obnoxious person, not obnoxious because I do it. I don't think I'm obnoxious, but you do it because you know that somebody else on the other side needs to hear their message, hear your message. So then you post it on LinkedIn, you post it on YouTube, you post it on Facebook, on Instagram. Then you're starting to build the follower count, but you're building the follower count from being clear on the message. So you're getting Sally who cares about you versus Tom that cared about you in 8th grade. You're getting the right people inside your door. So when you think about an audience, you want 100 raving fans versus 100,000 people that thought this was a cheap ticket to come by and just something to do. So how you build that, it's actually not a bad thing that you don't have a follower count to start that new journey, because then you don't have to convert 100,000 people. You can start building this, and being clear on your message, that's how you build fast. Wow.
That's gold. I mean, I'm getting so much out of this because this is like, I feel like I'm sitting and getting a master class in marketing.
So I have a client. She's 71 years old. She's a grandmother. In fact, that's her brand is to teach stay-at-home mothers and working from home mothers on how to parent. That's what she did 35 years ago. She has 35 years of experience. Her daughter's now 35, going through the same thing. And I just said, you're a 71-year-old. I'm going to do the most uncomfortable thing, what we're going to do together. You're going to go to live on TikTok. I swear to God, what's TikTok? This was 2 months ago, okay? And she's like, well, talk to your daughter. And she's like, isn't that the dancing platform? And I'm like, yes. So I'm going to have you dance. I'm like, no, I'm not having you dance. Why did I do that? One, because she does not have Sally from 8th grade. She does not have a following, and it's got that live component, and she can get over the fact being on camera, all the things that we talked about. And I gave her the 7-day framework message. At the end of the 7 days, she's like, one, she knows more about herself than she knew because you're just talking. You're not talking into a phone. You're actually talking to an audience of 1 or 2 or 3. But it's amazing. Like just me talking to you, this is a very different conversation that I would be having on my phone.
Right.
So we're talking, we're conversing. And after 7 days, she's like, I felt so much more confident about my story, my message. It's kind of addicting when 1 or 2 people start engaging with you and are interested. You don't know that person from whatever country or whatever state. And then she just kept doing it. And then she had content that she put on all these other platforms, and she very quickly became a brand. Now, she had a 71-year-old on TikTok. That's kind of rare and unique. And a message that literally she knew exactly who her ideal customer avatar was, who her dream customer was on the other side. And that 35-year-old mother, they're there in droves on TikTok because what are they doing? Taking care of their kids, or the whole avatar was stay at home. They're on TikTok. They're just hanging out.
What would you say to somebody who they may be listening to this and they're like, I don't have that only thing?
For one, I will tell you I have an app for it's the 7 questions. So findyouronly.app. That I know how it works because I built it. I can't believe how well it works. So it's the right questions that you need to be asked to find your only. What that is functioning, and I wish I could do that for everybody. I just don't have that much time. It takes the place of somebody not knowing who you are, what you are. There's zero bias going in. So when you start talking, people undoubtedly will see you differently than you see yourself. So that's really the basis of it, is when you've met somebody new and they bring something out of you and you go, I didn't realize that. That's exactly what your only is. When somebody's going, that's something different. Then from there, is there an audience? We talk about TAM, total addressable market. There has to be somebody on the other side. So if my only is $1 million product, but really my market is people that can afford $1, then there's a mismatch here. Most of the time that's not generally true, But how do we talk about something that meets then the pain points of an audience right there? But finding that only, there's a certain amount of questions, and the goal that you would get with findyouronly.app. And by the way, one of the questions is, what's your 90-day goal? Because generally that's where the journey is going to be. All right. So then what makes me, what that gives the framework for, we're not talking about 5 years from now, 10 years from now, because there's very little things that you can tweak for you to figure out what becomes distinct and different in what you do.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any more? I just want to hear more stories.
Yeah.
The story of the wholesaler who was taking lunch to people.
Yeah.
Do you have any other stories like that where people that found their only, that's their thing that makes them stand out, that, has turned into a successful venture for them?
Can I give you one sec? I have these stories. I thought I was going to. Who am I working with now? They all kind of started from a lot of people started with something, and I just poured gasoline on what they do.
You can give examples of that too, or it doesn't have to be like a revolutionary transformation.
This is where I need to have a list of all I've done like 70 or 80 of them, and they all have these stories. A lot of it really, that's John. John's the most obvious one just because it connects all my worlds.
What did John do?
He's the wholesaler who brought lunch. I'm usually not at a loss for words.
This is great because this is like your TikTok live.
Yeah, it
moment
is.
Here.
Oh, but this is how. And by the way, how people connect is through the real moments.
Yeah.
It's so Instagram is the best 5 minutes of your day. That's the worst 5 minutes for social media. It really is.
Yeah.
The other 23 hours and 55 minutes is what's gold.
Yeah.
It's when. All right. So, filming with Tommy Haar. We start filming, and we I think Tommy knows this now, or he's just finding out if he watches this. We say cut. We're not cutting. Camera still rolls.
Sneaky.
So I was out there in the worst city in the world, which is Columbus, Ohio. That is a fact, by the way. I went to Michigan, so you can just put the places together.
We all know.
Yeah. And he had a really rough. It was a clean out of a house, and people didn't show. And all of a sudden, he's having to clean out. This is all real.
Oh wow!
And he was not happy. He's sweaty and messy. It was a piece of crap house. But great television, right? It's amazing. So we yell cut. We don't yell cut. And all of a sudden, Tommy became Tommy. Real Tommy. Not that he wasn't before, but he started yelling and screaming, not unlikable, but all like you felt for him. His brother, he works with his brother was there, and all of a sudden just everything stopped, and he just sat down, sat up against this tree, nothing, no talking, just with his brother, getting tight shots. We had a long lens on our cameras, and we're just seeing this. And I go to set a few times, but not that much. I then yelled cut. And Tommy goes, "Excuse me?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, we didn't cut. That was all." He's like, "You got all of that on tape?" And I said, "Yes, because that's the Tommy. That's the real Tommy we're going to fall in love with." So sorry, that going back to that moment.
Oh, that's so cool. Do you guys have like a signal that you tell each other, or a way you say it that's like it's a fake cut?
No,
you
just don't. The rule is you never stop filming. Even when you're recording at home. So one of the things that I tell people too is when I record, I never do a second take. Never. So you're going to hear my dog in the background. You're going to hear my phone ring. In an AI world, everybody thinks everything's fake. So how can I organically tell people it's not? One, I'm showing up. Two, you see my face and the words, but also you hear the stuff that's happening behind. I really, really believe that we are overproduced and we are always just have our guard up.
Yeah.
What are ways that I can, again, thinking about the audience, what are ways I can tell the audience without telling them that this is real, that this is not rehearsed, that this is real? So I get frustrated because dog is docking at the barking across the street, and it's loud to me, but Zoom kind of cuts it out, but you do hear all of this in the background. So also when you're talking to people, you're who you are, like stop being produced and stop being rehearsed. Just say and mess up. Like people think about our memories are built on those mess ups.
Right.
We only have learned how to walk by falling down. Nobody in this world is just be like, I'm the best walker in the world, Other people help us, and understand, but we want to see, we don't want to see inorganic conflict, inorganic failures. Like, this will make for a great, 3-second start to my YouTube. No, you'd be like, oh my God, I didn't really want to tell you this, but it's actually based on something happened, I will say, just one of the, I don't know if this is going to exactly connect, but I completely forgot about the show. There's a show that is still on the air. It's called Accused, Guilty, or Innocent. Okay. And Accused, Guilty, or Innocent is a traditional crime show. And I hate crime shows. And I produce some of the biggest ones. I just don't like them. All I want to do is, if I'm going to do it, there's got to be a reason why, because there's so much crime on television. How does my show stick out? So I was in London and I talked to another network, a network executive at one of the channels in London. I said, tell me about a project that I know nothing about that you love. And he was like, there's this like small documentary. It's called Accused, and it just follows somebody accused of a crime they say they didn't commit. And I'm like, that sounds pretty interesting. So I take it back to the States. I start pitching it. And of course, everybody's like, well, you need to show both sides. You need the prosecution, the defense. You need to show the crime scene, and you need to basically turning somewhat of an original idea into something that's not. And I'm like, no. I said, remember, my whole thing is, let's speak to the pain points of the audience, what the audience watches, and how they can also have an aspirational experience. Mm-hmm. There's not most people on the other side of the camera, they're not going to be a lawyer. They're not going to be a judge. Yeah. They're not going to be the prosecution. They're not going to be the investigator. But they very well could be accused of a crime they say they didn't commit. Yeah. Whether or not they committed, we're not answering that question. Yeah. I said, that's the show. And the uncomfort is when you're accused of a crime, you say you didn't commit, you don't know what's happening on the other side, but your life very well could change on that court day. So we're going to show this. We're going to start filming, not while the crime happened, because we can't predict that. Right. 90 days out from that court, that's going to literally determine the rest of their life. The only qualifier is they say that they did not commit the crime. Good news with America. Most people that committed a crime also say they didn't commit a crime and have convinced everybody around them, to do so, including their own, defense. So we have a lot to choose from. So that was the whole basis of the show. Even when we were in edit in the first season, I still got the notes from my colleagues. But what about the prosecution? But what about the other side? And I'm like, no. I'm telling you. We are going to watch this show because we're going to place ourselves in the shoes of that person. I'm telling you. So the reason why I tell that story is in a sea of a genre that's been done so much, you can be different. But also, if you really believe you're doing something different and serving your audience, there undoubtedly will be so many people that tell you different. Mm-hmm. Shut them up in your head, but also go, there's never been a good idea that you haven't had enemies from. You haven't had somebody that said it's not going to work. If everybody's like, oh my God, that's the most amazing thing ever, you've probably not done something so different because people relate the present to their past. But when you create something that's new and different, you don't have the past to turn to. Yeah. And the last thing I will say is when you believe in something, conviction sells. My friend Pace Morby is literally the definition of conviction. He will go up on a stage. He will never lie, but he will say things that are not yet truth. And he will, in 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 60 minutes, turn something into a truth just by how he's so convicted in whatever idea he has. Mm-hmm. So when you also think of something that's distinct and different, and when you connect with something, own it like it's happening now. Own it because you know that somebody that hasn't yet tasted or heard what you've said or do, they're going to love it. it's amazing just with that. And you can do that on social media. You can do that with conversations and networking with your business, your product. If you firmly 100% every ounce believe somebody needs this right now, right today, they're going to buy it.
Yeah.
But most of the time we're like, well, maybe or not sure. I don't want to buy anything that's unsure. I want to buy somebody that's really going, this will change your life. Not potentially, this will change your life.
Absolutely. I love it. On the note, you were talking earlier about like the cut and always having the cameras rolling.
Yeah.
I feel like some of the best performing content that we've had has been moments like that. It's like the run and gun, just the cameras rolling, and something happens on a job site or something says something on a phone call, and it's just like people go wild over it.
It's a pattern interrupt, so that's a little bit of the science or behind it is we are kind of looking for that because
drama. We
kind of lay back, and then all of a sudden when something happens, we just all of a sudden lean in, and something just hits differently. So we tend to lean in. So when we would make trailers for our shows, undoubtedly I would have the last 2 minutes be first. So that's the pattern interrupt. Like, wait, what? Like, how did we get here? And then all of a sudden you're tuned in. So even with media, if you have the ability to edit and something gold happens towards the end, show that first. Do not hold anything back. Always show, because people want the journey even when they know there's a destination.
Yeah.
So the destination is just the relief moment. It's like, oh, I finally got to, Mexico.
Yeah.
But it's the journey, it's the journey that people love. They just love being on because they place themselves in that situation. So do not be perfect. Nobody's perfect. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to judge you if you're not perfect. They want the real. So when you're on a job site and you're filming something and something goes horribly wrong, be like, I can't have anybody see that. I guarantee nobody will judge you. Now, if you roarly, like you mess something up that can endanger people's lives, probably not show that. But there's very few things. But again, going back to Tommy, he's really good at showing his losses. And to a normal person, that'd be like, well, how are people going to be? Almost 100% of his money is private money. So people are giving him money to invest in his properties. Mm-hmm. Most people would be like, well, I can't show people that I fail. He thinks the opposite. He's like, no, I will fail, but here's what I will do is protect all my investors. So even when I lose, everybody else wins. So that's the way that he kind of turns it around. Yeah. That's why he was okay. But people want to see that you are a real person. They want to see you falling down. They don't, again, why do we go to a NASCAR race?
I want to see the crash.
They're the best of the best, and undoubtedly.
Or you want to just like,
but we don't want them to die, right?
True.
We don't want them, but we love, like, why do we slow down when we're driving around and there's an accident? We just normal every day. We're just driving at 65 miles an hour, but when something happens, it stops. Don't edit that stop. Don't edit that accident out. We all do. We all say, like, don't. That's when you become real.
Yeah. Good stuff. I really like it. That was good. You're flipping houses.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Just going to the journey and how I became flip. When I knew that I wanted to do real estate. I knew I wanted to invest in real estate. I just didn't know what. So I hadn't done it. And it was Tariq El Moussa. I don't know if you know Tariq, one of the original television flippers. There's also a story with Tariq. But I happened to have a meeting with Tariq because he was being shopped around. HGTV was not taking care of him. So his agent, who I'm friends with, was like, hey, I know that you love real estate. Do you want to have a meeting with Tariq? We're looking for a deal for Tariq. And I'm like, I can't afford Tariq, but I will happily take a meeting with Tariq. So very quickly, I turned the television conversation into a real estate conversation. He's like, you know more about real estate than anybody in Hollywood does. And I gave him my background. And he's like, and I said something like, I don't know where to start. I'm assuming everyone you've ever educated, student, but they all say the same thing. I don't know where to start. I'm telling Tariq El Moussa, I don't know where to start. And Tariq looks at me, he goes, you realize you have everybody in your phone that you can. I'm like, I know, but I literally don't know where to start. So he goes, well, one, you're going to start with Jamil Damji. So Jamil's a wholesaler. And you're going to learn everything about real estate by understanding how to wholesale. I'm like, okay. And then that's only one exit strategy. Then you're going to learn every other exit strategy through your friend Pace Morby.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. And then you're going to really want to do real estate. I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, that's not wealth building. That's making money. You're going to want to renovate. You want to buy distress, renovate, and then either flip or hold. Probably want to hold. Mm-hmm. Selfishly, I'm going to tell you then I become your third when you're going to renovate luxury homes and you're going to sell it to me. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, well, that's interesting. So I started with Jamil. The one thing I never wanted to do was to do that last part because I had produced a couple hundred episodes of shows that were flipping. It looks awful. It looks horrendous. It looks horrible. But it was my buddy, James Daynard, who is a massive flipper in Seattle. He's flipped probably now 5,000 homes in Seattle. He has a television show on A&E, $1 Million Zombie Flips. He knew how to turn disgustingly awful houses into gold. And the amount of money he was making was stupid. And he offered to help. So I'm like, okay, why not? So what's the word? You make money when you buy, not when you sell. Just popped. There was a Facebook group that I was a part of in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's the biggest advice I can give everybody. Get in every real estate Facebook group possible. Mm-hmm. Somebody put this house in Lenore, North Carolina. Never heard of the city called Lenore. Looked to a map and I'm like, oh, it's an hour and a half from my house. That's really far. But the house is really, I could tell that there's some bones there. Mm-hmm. And it was stupidly cheap. So I'm like, I knew that I could probably afford it. That if things went horribly wrong, I wasn't going to lose my house. And then just as I was looking for that property, I went to a meetup and I met somebody who I'm a contractor and I'm looking to invest in my own properties. But I don't know how to buy a house, nor can I really buy a house now. Literally within 24 hours of that house, this person came into my life. They wanted everything that I didn't want or knew how to do, same thing. So all of a sudden it became a safety net. So I decided the scariest thing in my life was to make an offer on that house, not knowing I had any ability to renovate, but I found the person that knew. So I really firmly believe that, can I get paid to learn? I don't like paying to learn, but can I get paid to learn? Now I actually believe in paying to learn. Yeah. I believe in mentorship. I believe everybody needs a mentor. Everybody needs to pay for their investment, pay for their school. This was a way for me to pay. Even if I lost money, I would still win because I was learning. Yeah. So that's how I got into flipping. It was the right place, right time. And we literally did everything wrong, but because we bought right, we made a whole lot of money at the end of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's when I knew this is the partnership that I wanted. I wanted to continually invest in people and things that I didn't know how to do that would allow me to invest in myself and what I love to do. So we were pouring gasoline on both of our things. So that one flip, we got 2 offers in 2 days. We accepted one of them. It was the fastest, easiest. And they say from 0 to 1 is there's 2. 0 to 1 is the hardest in business, but in flipping, 0 to 1 is actually the easiest. It's 1 to 2 and 1 to 3. I think that's the hardest. So it took me a while to get my second. And the second, because I did so well with the first, I got a little lax on the second. Still made a lot of money, but not nearly what we made. Yeah. And then I'm like, you know what? With the right team in place and the right systems and process, which we had developed in the first, further with the second, and then now with the third, kind of like flipping. So I only got into it because one of Tarek El Moussa, 100%, but also, and here's the rule, I had people that I knew that I could turn to. So yes, that Rolodex was because of my Hollywood career, but there are a tremendous amount of people that have incredible communities and education programs that if you are going to YouTube University to learn how to flip a house, you are doing it all wrong. You need to invest in education and mentorships so that when your contractor all of a sudden gets out of town or your electrician does something, you go to inspection and it doesn't pass, who do you turn to? Yeah. How to budget, how to understand the finances, how to pay people. Like I learned from Tommy, treat this as a job. Guess what? He only pays on Fridays, every other Fridays. So guess what? Every contractor, every sub, they know, submit all of their things so that they get paid on Friday.
Exactly.
If they deliver on Saturday, they're not getting paid for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But that's the rule. I would never know that. I would never understand that. So get mentorship, get people that are well advanced from you to do it. I do believe that wholesaling is the gateway drug into real estate investing. It's by far, I do believe everybody should be wholesaling to start. You learn how to talk to sellers. You learn how to find buyers. You learn the transaction of everything, and then learn all the options that you can from creative financing. And then once you're comfortable with the real estate transaction, and now you have friends that are buyers, you understand how to sell, and then I would then have be a partner in some of those projects. On the other side, maybe not as an equity partner, but even just like, hey, if I sell you this property, here's the one thing in return. Can I be on journey with you, not financially, but you've quote bought your way into the process. Now you're educating, you're understanding on actually what happens when somebody renovates a house. And then it's really finding what you're best at, but always be talking to people, always out there. The reason why I got my properties is because even before I started investing, I was at every meetup in Charlotte. I went to every meetup. I always spoke to the person who put the meetups on because they're the ones that had all the other relationships.
Yeah.
So, but I went into that relationship I always went with a giving, with how can I help you? What can I do? Because you need to walk into these meetups as the person that gives. Nobody wants to be in business with a taker. When you show up as a giver, and then 6 months later you ask that question about that electrician, or I need a sub, I need something, they're going to give you 10. Because you put yourself out there. But That's you great. Need to get out of your house and start shaking people's hands.
So good. Great advice. I feel like we could go on for hours.
Is it tomorrow yet?
Is it tomorrow yet?
Yeah.
No. But man, this was so good. I appreciate you coming on. If people want to keep up with you, find out more about your mentorship, things like that, how do they do that?
For one, go to findyouronly.app. It's FINDYOURONLY. There's no funny.app, app. Very simple, 8 questions, under 8 minutes. And then you'll get connected to me. There'll be a place to get connected to me. I also practice what I preach. I am everywhere in social media content. I answer all my DMs, all my things. So if you just search my last name, because it's unique, Holcman, I produce for YouTube first, and every other of my platforms are based off my YouTube. So I produce a long form YouTube Monday through Friday, talking all about branding, positioning, what separates you, anecdotes. So you can find me there. And then I offer up some programs, but I don't want to talk about that here because it's all about how can you separate yourself from others. And if you go to findyouronly.app, that's going to help you.
Awesome. Good stuff. Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you.
That's all we've got for today's show. If you loved the content, please leave us a rating and review. It really helps us grow. If you want to follow along my journey as a real estate investor, you can go to builtforwealthpodcast.com and you'll find all of my social links there. Thanks for listening.